Hello and welcome. I'm Lacey, the Chief Teaching Unicorn at Rebel Unicorn Crafts. I teach classes locally, as well as I record some lessons that maybe expand on what we explored in class for my students that take my classes, as well as for others who want to get creative. And today we're going to be diving deeper into fluid painting, exploring using water, normal tap water, which I'm just going to put straight from the tap into one of these cups, and distilled water. See if there's any differences. I've seen that it's preferable to use distilled water, and in my own personal silversmithing, I have seen a huge difference in using distilled water for cleaning in the pickle as well as washing my jewelry. It helps not stain solder and things like that, so I'm curious to see what applications that will have in fluid painting. So we'll do one painting where we thin with distilled water and one painting where we thin with just tap water, and see if there are any big differences in the paintings. All right, I'm gonna get to pouring. Initially, my plan was to try to limit the number of variables I'm testing by actually mixing up all my colors in a big batch, splitting them into equal parts, and then hydrating each color equally. This didn't go quite as I had planned, and I think it backfired a little bit, so I won't show you much of this process. But that was the intent behind this process, so I'll show you a little bit of it, but not much, and then we'll get to the actual pour. You can see here what I do is I add a little paint, and then instead of checking the consistency by kind of letting it drop back in, I actually put it on the side to see how well it's running. And I'm not actually going to share my paint consistency water versus paint with you, and again, I'll explain why later. Okay, that's enough of that. You get the idea. We add paint, we add water, we measure, we check the consistency. Let's get to the fun part, the pour. If you've watched the rest of the videos in this series, you'll notice I'm doing something a little different in this test. Instead of pouring the same colors at the same time into different cups, I am alternating cups, but I am using the same order, and I thought I might be able to control the amounts I poured into each cup better, but I'm not sure that I did. Human error is always difficult, so we'll go ahead and get these poured into the cups. I was really excited about this color palette. I had two different blues, more of a turquoise and more of a dark blue, and then a bright pop of white and orange. I just thought it was going to turn out super cool looking. And I'm sorry about my head right here. I obviously was more focused on what I was doing than what you're seeing. I don't know if you can tell this, but I do think I was more heavy-handed on my pours on the distilled side, so there is a little more paint on the distilled side than on the tap side. But we're going to go ahead and try to flip these in a second, but check out, that already looks really neat. I didn't use silicone in either of these. And now for the double-handed flip. As usual, we'll let these sit for a second before we pull the cups off and get my favorite part. A little blop. Get the second one going and give them a second to both kind of settle evenly. And my table must not be leveled because, as you can see, they're both overflowing on the left side a little bit. I'm going to tilt these until I am happy with where they are. I will tell you why I think I messed up on measuring the water is I think they're too liquid. I can already tell at this point that they're just moving too easily, so I'm a little worried that I'm going to lose a lot of the definition. And I'm not sure that's going to be a good test between the two if we start off on the wrong foot of it just being too watery. So we'll go ahead and do this because it's still satisfying to watch the paint flow around. But I did do a second test, so we'll see that in a minute after I show you this. My initial reactions in this first test are that there's a chance that the distilled water preserved some of the brighter and darker colors better. You know, the white and the yellow stands out more. I don't have as much blue as that middle blue as I do on the right hand side, but where I do have the darker blue, it is darker. And I don't know if that's just because I didn't pour at the same time, I didn't have the same quantities of paint, if it's too liquidy, or what the deal is, but maybe there's a difference, but not much of one. From at least my first test. I'm going to reserve my judgment until I do this again with more properly thinned paint. Let me know, what do you think? Can you tell a difference, or was it just my fault that they don't really look that much different? Actually, they do look quite a bit different, but I don't know if the differences I'm seeing are actually due to the distilled or tap water. So let's repeat this and see what happens. If you don't want to watch the rest of this pour, go ahead and skip ahead about 30 seconds to begin the next one, but I know some people like to watch the rest of this, so your choice. I did hit these quickly with a torch just to see what would happen, and not much developed, which doesn't surprise me. There's not a lot of silicone there, so I don't know, pretty milky, but they do remind me of planets, so I like that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started on this second test. I won't show you how I thinned or mixed the colors because we've already been through that. And in essence, I did this more by feel and less by weight, and I tried to thin them a little bit less so they wouldn't get so milky. I'm going to speed this video up since we've already been through this process. And I can already tell in this pour that it's just going to turn out a lot better. Both of these paintings are looking really cool. There's initial cells, they're not milky, so I'm happier because I feel less like I failed on this one, but I'm still not sure if this is a great determiner for whether distilled or tap water works better. I don't see a huge difference. There might be some brighter colors on the left, darker colors. I don't know. let's take a look at the paintings, both the first and second test, when they're wet and just still. Here's the first test. Second test. And then let's check them out to see if there's any difference in dry. First test. Second test. There's not much of a difference. I did ask Nick what he thought, and he kind of agreed that he picked the ones that were distilled as the ones that had brighter colors and darker colors, but I mean, it took him a long time to decide that. So what do you think? Do you think distilled water actually helps? I'm not sure it does, but I also don't think it hurts, so that's a pretty cheap upgrade if you would like to use distilled water and have the space to store a gallon of it. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear if you try this, or if you've had any big differences with this. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. If you are local to Northern Colorado and would like to take one of my classes, visit rebelunicorncrafts.com. And if you'd like to just see some fun pictures, follow me on Instagram at rebelunicorncrafts. I hope you have a great day and you go out and get creative.